So the narrative that the Miami Dolphins are frauds has been a heavily debated topic over the past 9 weeks of the NFL season. But I have to say this, them losing to the Kansas City Chiefs in Germany to drop to 6-3 on the season surely isn't helping their case. Like, let's not get it twisted, this is a super talented team, but it feels like when games that really matter come up, they just fall short, and I really have no answer to why. The Dolphins are currently 6-0 against teams with a losing record and 0-3 against teams with a winning record. That alone has no doubt put them on fraud watch, even though I do think they're still a great team. The stats don't lie, but context is always important in these types of scenarios. And that context is the Dolphins are first in the AFC East. This is a good team who is likely going to win their division. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that this is going to ultimately be a playoff team, but the real question is, are they actually good enough to beat the top tier teams once it comes postseason time? And from what they've showed us so far this season, that answer doesn't look good. Now, Miami did start the season 3-0, and we're already being crowned as like one of, if not the best team in the league, mostly because they had a 70-20 win over the Broncos in week 3. If you guys remember that, it was absolutely insane to watch. The Broncos got absolutely shellacked by the Miami Dolphins. And at that point, everyone's sitting back like, damn, this team looks unstoppable. If they're firing on all cylinders like in that game, Miami could for sure be a Super Bowl team. Still though, that really doesn't excuse back-to-back one-possession wins the 2 games prior against an underperforming Chargers team and a bad Patriots team. But even with that, that Broncos game really felt like it had made up for all of that, and that Miami was truly on the right path. That was until, they weren't. The Dolphins ended up playing Buffalo to kick off October and got absolutely clapped 48-20. This was a huge game for Miami to come out and prove that they're an actually legit team. Buffalo in and of themselves have had struggles this year. Of course, they've dropped games when they shouldn't have. I mean, they lost to the freaking Jets without Aaron Rodgers in week 1. But still, a win for Miami here would have done wonders, but the passing game just couldn't get going, and Josh Allen played surprisingly well. He had 320 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game and really played up to the opponent. Of course, the narrative then shifted to the Bills being the top team in the league, which we all know surely isn't true. This is a team with many flaws. Buffalo is just 5-4 now, and by the way, that's the exact same record as the Derek Carr-led Saints. No hate to the Saints, but man, the Bills should be a much better team than the Saints. Regardless though, the Bills really did expose the Dolphins. Now, Miami did respond with back-to-back multiple possession victories over the Giants and Panthers, but those are 2 of the worst teams in football. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that a win isn't a win. These are all professionals playing in this league. Every week is tough and every week can swing one way or the other, but we can't sit here and act like Miami shouldn't have beat the crap out of both of those teams. The Giants are a complete joke this year, and the Panthers are a team that are completely rebuilding right now and have a first-year quarterback, first-year head coach. They were supposed to win both of those games. So then that puts the Dolphins at 5-1 with a big game against the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. This is the game where they could come in and shut all the doubters up, and Philadelphia ended up winning 31-17. But I will say it was a much closer game than the score kind of tells. It was tied late in the 3rd quarter, and the Eagles are really good, but injuries just had piled up for Miami, and that was super clear come the end of this game. Xavier Howard was out, and Jalen Ramsey still wasn't back at that time, so the secondary was kind of a bit messy. So Philadelphia was really able to take advantage of that and kind of run away with the game. But I will say, for the majority of that game, Miami did look competitive. Definitely a better game for them than, the Bills game. Now Howard and Ramsey are back, and we finally got to see Ramsey on the field for the Dolphins, and I will say, I now have much higher hopes for the defense going forward. Jalen Ramsey is still very good. His first game with the Dolphins was against the Patriots, and he ended up having a big interception and had a return on it too. Of course, as you could have guessed, the Dolphins beat the Patriots because Tua Tagovailoa owns Bill Belichick somehow, no clue how, but hey. Then the Miami Dolphins took their game to Germany
Guten Tag.
to face off against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'll say this, at the beginning of that game, it looked like the Chiefs' loss was going to be super ugly, but it actually wasn't that bad. It was 21-0 at the half, but ultimately Miami did come back to almost try to make a push to win the game, but it just didn't work out and Miami lost 21-14. Now, while Kansas City put 21 points on the board in the first half, the defense for Miami was stout in the second half. But it was a tough loss for Miami, of course. What ended up being the game-winning touchdown was a fumble return touchdown by the Chiefs by Brian Cook, who took it back 59 yards. When it mattered, the Dolphins fell short, and that's ultimately what it came down to. But outside of that, it was a pretty even game, and Miami even outgained the Chiefs. But again, they just couldn't find a way to win. Now the Miami Dolphins enter their bye week at 6-3 with some questions that do need to be answered, because now, like everyone's saying, they're on fraud watch. Luckily for them, when they come back, they do have some easier matchups, and the 5 weeks after their bye, the Dolphins play the Raiders, who have been struggling but looked pretty solid in their last game against New York, the Jets, who really knows what the hell you're going to get out of them week in and week out, the Commanders, who the hell knows what you're going to get out of them week in and week out, the Titans, and the Jets again. I would say all of those are reasonably winnable for the Miami Dolphins. If I had to guess, I expect the Dolphins to win 4 out of 5 of those games, if not all of them. I mean, they definitely could drop a game in there, but I do think that they have the talent to win all of those. But the rest of the test is going to be at the end of the season. We're really going to find out if this Dolphins team can play with the big dogs in late December, early January, because to end the season, they play the Cowboys, Ravens, who have been incredible as of late, by the way, and then the Bills, who, when they played last time, didn't go so well for them. So that stretch is no joke. We're really going to get an idea of how good this team is against 3 really good opponents. Some people in the comment section might hate me for saying the Cowboys are really good. I think they're a good team. They just also can't win when it matters. But when it comes down to it, I think the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel are gonna figure all this out and become a true contender. I love Mike McDaniel way more than I probably should as a Patriots fan. I should theoretically really not like the Miami Dolphins, but he just makes them so damn likable. But this team is far too talented to not be able to beat other good teams. Tua is having another solid season, 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. But the story of the team more than anything is really Tyreek Hill, who already has 1,076 yards and 8 touchdowns in 9 games. He's trying to break that 1,974 yard Calvin Johnson season back in 2012, and honestly, he's got a shot. Getting an extra game helps, of course. Jalen Waddle's been playing well. He has over 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert has been a beast on the ground. The Dolphins' run game has been incredible this year. Mostert has 11 touchdowns on the ground and 2 receiving. Like I said, this is a really good football team with a great head coach and enough elite talent to theoretically beat anybody. The problem is, they just aren't right now. I think we just have to give it a little more time, and before we know it, I'm sure the Dolphins will be this actually legit team. Or, they could end up being frauds, but I don't think so. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, guys. If you guys like this one, make sure to smash that like button, and if you're not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on bell notifications so you never miss an upload by us. I truly don't think the Dolphins are frauds, but let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I think they're gonna pull it all together, but yeah, let me know what you guys think down below, and we will see you guys tomorrow for the next one. Peace out.